Um, so left off with the quote drive and the experience there. Um, we talked a little bit in number 12 of my writings about the national conference experience. Two things that I want to bring up that I didn't in the writings is I mentioned that I still had that kind of debating spirit because see in the Church of Christ we went to this conference and stuff like that. We were very big on like debate teams and stuff like that, and having that proof text and being able to just slam some liberals and you saw Ken Ham versus Bill Nye. Okay, that's not exactly the theology, but that's about the same mindset. We wanted to debate. We wanted to be right. We wanted to be able to prove all of this stuff, and to be right. And it was still in me. It's still in me. You see it when I'm sure I embarrass myself many times when I comment on somebody's thing and I'm like debating with them on Facebook, and you see it's still there, and I'm trying to just tear that from the root out of my heart because it's not about being right. Okay, now at National Conference, one of the things since I was re-submerged into Church of Christ doctrine, we believe that immersion, baptism is when you're saved, not this, say the sinner's prayer, and you feel saved in your heart, and then, baptism is a confirmation. That's not what we believed. And so when it came up between roommates of mine and then their pastor, we had a pretty heated debate about that, which ended with them being like, "Man, why are you so uptight about this? Why are you wanting to argue about this?" And really calling me out on that toxic tendency. And I was just like, all right, fine, and I go and I'm ranting to my friends Brett and Philip, and I'm just like, and they're just like, dude, you do need to calm down. You you do get really fired up really quick, and I was like, you need to chill out, and so that was like the first time somebody had really just sat down with me and was like, look, you got an issue, and I love you, and I want to see you do better. So here's the truth on that issue. And so it was really, really good. The second thing I want to talk about National Conference has to do with the book I was reading, which is The Irresistible Revolution, as I said in number 12. And in there, one of the things that was brought up was, this idea that once a terrorist does something like this, we go in and kill them, and they deserve to be killed, and just bomb them, drag them out, whatever. And because for their crimes or whatever. And the point that Shane made was, if a known terrorist is beyond redemption, then we need to tear out half of the New Testament. The reason why is because it's written by a terrorist of that time, Saul. Saul went door to door, dragging Christians out, Christian families, and persecuting them, imprisoning them, having them killed. He was the one who held the coats when the first martyr, Stephen, was stoned to death. Okay? And, this guy was killing Christians because he thought he was doing God's will. He was a Jew who believed that the Christian message was a heresy and that he was doing God's will by killing these people. Okay? Then he had an experience with God, turned around and became one of the biggest voices, the most prominent voices in the Roman Empire, probably the biggest Christian voice that we know of in that era in the Roman Empire. Okay? And so many church doctrines and beliefs have sprung from the writings of Paul, who was Saul, and his name was changed. So, once again, if a known terrorist is beyond redemption, then we as Christians have to rip out our New Testament because, come on, we're showing a double standard. So, this is where I started really getting into more of the meat of Christian nonviolence and that tough thing of saying, no, I think mercy over judgment. Yes, something needs to be done, but is it violence? Maybe, those are the kind of things, the cogs that started turning in my head, and I had not yet made up my mind at this point. But I did believe with what he had said, that we can't, no one is beyond redemption. All sins, can be pardoned, which means even the killing of thousands of people on September 11th. And that New Year's night we were at, where you saw me with the glow sticks in my ears and stuff, we had this huge bash. I mean, it was kind of ridiculous, honestly, especially with the way my path in Christianity eventually took, to be there in such a privileged setting, I guess. And right before New Year's, they start showing this film montage of just like the recaps of the year, and it's, this, that, and the other. I really don't remember anything other than when it shows Obama come up on to the podium and say, "We have killed Osama bin Laden." When he announces this, I am directly under one of the screens in the front, off to it was like this, and screen here, screen here, screen here, and I'm here just dancing around, having a good time with people, and we're watching this, and this happens, and the crowd of thousands of Christian college kids erupts into cheers and applause. And I just stand, and there are people around me, and I turn around and I just say that line: if a known terrorist is beyond redemption, then we need to tear out half our New Testament because it was written by one. We cannot cheer the death of another human being who fell. Why are we happy that this man will never have the chance to repent and become a kind, loving soul? Why are we cheering that? And I turn and say this to the group, anyone that was within earshot. And so many of them just stopped. And they looked at me. No one got violent. Everyone was confused. Well, there was a glitch. The movie replayed. It comes back around. I'm still standing right there. That part comes up. Once again, cheers. But I guarantee you there were at least 15 people standing around me that were looking around them then, not cheering. They were looking at me, and you could tell the wheels were turning. Something wasn't right with that. Odd experience, I know. Seemingly random. That's all I'm going to talk about on National Conference. I'm going to pick up with, obviously, 2012 in the next one. Thanks.